Kavanaugh is the message tonight on the steps of the U.S. Supreme Court and in demonstrations like this one across the United States. This amid continued division in this country at Donald Trump's nominee for the Supreme Court, Brett Kavanaugh, and today at Trump himself for this last night.
How did you get home? I don't remember. How'd you get there? I don't remember. Where is the place? I don't remember.
Openly mocking Christine Blasey Ford, the woman alleging Kavanaugh once sexually assaulted her.
But I had one beer. That's the only thing I remember. And a man's life is in tatters.
The crowd, young and old, men and women, cheered and laughed at Trump's version of Ford's tale of assault. Some waved signs, women for Trump. But from Democrats and independents today on Capitol Hill, condemnation.
I thought his comments were disgraceful and shows that he has no empathy for survivors of sexual violence.
I watched it 2 or 3 times. It made me feel sort of sick.
He incited laughter at this woman. Why?
The White House denies Trump was mocking Ford, a woman just last week he called credible.
He was stating facts that were given during Dr. Ford's testimony.
It was to highlight gaps in her story, said the White House. But the handful of Republicans still on the fence over Kavanaugh don't buy it. Jeff Flake called it kind of appalling. Lisa Murkowski labeled it wholly inappropriate. Susan Collins, today with police protection, was equally blunt.
The president's comments were just plain wrong.
Is it enough to sway their crucial votes on Kavanaugh when it comes down to it? Just 2 of them could make the difference, leaving so many to wonder, why would Trump risk making it harder for them to back him on this? One answer, maybe, from the crowd of Trump supporters last night in Mississippi, waiting for what he was about to say.
You know, he doesn't have a good language sometimes, but we didn't elect him for that. We elected him because he stands up for what's right and wrong.
Paul joins us now from Washington with more on this. Okay, that's sort of how it played out politically, but much of what happens next, Paul, is the FBI report on Ford's allegations. What's the latest that we know about that?
Right. Well, reports tonight are that it's pretty much done and that the White House will get it soon. Then it'll go to Capitol Hill, where senators will be allowed to read it starting tomorrow morning, but under tight conditions. No cell phones in the room, and though you can take notes, the notes stay in the room. At this point, there's to be one single copy of the report shared by all. Republicans get it for an hour, then Democrats, then Republicans, then Democrats again, and so on till they're finished. All of it in what's described as a secure, compartmented information facility. Certainly one way to keep it a secret. Then a vote. We'll find out exactly when that happens soon enough. Regardless, though, for millions of Americans, Brett Kavanaugh's nomination is already tainted beyond repair. Rosie.
Hard to imagine that won't leak out in that leaky town, Paul. Thank you for that.
Indeed.
The CBC's Paul Hunter in Washington tonight. We wanted to hear from some female Trump supporters after he mocked Kavanaugh's accusers, so we sent Ron Charles across the border to Buffalo, New York, to hear some of them out.
In Buffalo, New York, Anchor Bar is one of the places Americans of all political stripes gather to indulge in the local delicacy, chicken wings, a culinary unifier. The table just inside the dining room is heavily weighted in support of U.S. President Donald Trump. For Mary Lou Pentasuglio, Trump's speech last night mocking Christine Blasey Ford is just more Trump being Trump.
Our president isn't always the most polite person. And why would we have expected him to change once he got to be president? That's who he was when people voted for him. He was always a little bit of an a whole lot of an obnoxious business person, but he was a good business person. And what our country needs is to be run like a business.
Her sister-in-law, Margaret Pentasuglio, says she wasn't impressed by Blasey Ford's Senate committee testimony in the first place.
I think we are convicting him, Kavanaugh, before all the evidence is in.
But not everyone at the table was impressed by Trump's performance last night.
Whoever writes his speeches and lets him talk would say, please, let's clear this before us, because it isn't right. It isn't right.
Even with that, she's not giving up on Trump entirely.
I do support some of his ideas. I do.
At least at this table, anyone expecting Trump's comments to erode his support is operating on a wing and a prayer. Ron Charles, CBC News, Buffalo, New York.